The third session. I now welcome and request Dr. C.R. Mukundan, speaker of the session, and Dr. T.R. Raju, who will chair the session, to grace the dais, please. It is with immense pleasure I introduce the chairperson for this session, Dr. T.R. Raju, who is the former senior professor and head, Department of Neurophysiology, and former Dean Basic Sciences, NIMHANS. He is currently the Director of Research, Shankara Academy of Vision, Bengaluru. Some of the key interests, research interests are animal models of motor neuron disease, particularly amyotrophic lateral sclerosis, Parkinson's disease, learning and memory-induced neuronal plasticity, retinal development and physiology of visual system, experimental models of stress and depression, etc. Dr. Raju is a highly accomplished neuroscientist with extensive experience in academic leadership and well-funded research projects. He has contributed immensely to the scientific literature through his publications in peer-reviewed journals, books, and book chapters. He has more than 250 publications in reputed journals like Brain Research, Psychopharmacology, Journal of Neuroscience, Epilepsy and Behavior, Journal of Affective Disorders, etc. He has been the recipient of highly coveted awards such as B.K. Bachawat Lifetime Achievement Award, A.S. Paintal Distinguished Scientist Award, Oration Awards from Association of Physiologists and Pharmacologists of India, Physiological Society of India, IAN, to name a few. I now call upon Dr. Raju to introduce the speaker and conduct the session. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Subha, for such a generous introduction. I'm truly delighted to introduce Dr. Mukundan, an outstanding neuropsychologist the country has ever produced. I always used to believe neuropsychology and neurophysiology are seamless and borderless disciplines. The proof of pudding? One of my students, Madhvi, who did the MPhil in neurophysiology and went on to do PhD under Dr. Mukundan, she has become an amazing neuropsychologist now, and she is heading the department in Christ. Dr. Mukundan's area of specialization, brain and mind functions, you can read there also, an association between brain and mind. And he has published so many papers, and he was a pioneer in developing the cognitive electrophysiology and clinical neurophysiology at NIMHANS, and developed brain electrical oscillations signature profiling and brain function therapy for cognitive retraining of patients with brain functional impairments. Thank you so much, sir, for coming to give a talk. And it is nice to see his family also. And I must tell you, Madam Mukundan is an outstanding cook, which I have ever come across. She makes some amazing dishes. And now, here you are, sir, Dr. Mukundan. We look forward to your presentation. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. Professor Raju, I have no words to express my gratitude to you. Thank you very much. It's a very important opportunity for me. I never thought that I would be ever coming again to talk to you all, to see you all here after so many years. But then I've been working in the same area, and I've been going from challenge to challenge, especially in the past 2.5 years. I just don't know how I got into such very difficult tasks, especially related to neuroscience. But I think I must share with you, only then you will understand the importance of it, and there is a need to probably for institutions like NIMAN to start a totally new programs in certain areas. See, I've been working on what you call social conditioning for some time back. And that's when, and even before that, we were working on electrophysiology, especially electrophysiology from a forensic point of view. And the whole thing was on finding if a person, even if he doesn't say anything, openly come out with any of his actions, does he sit and remember something that happened to him? And if there is a remembrance, is there a process of remembrance taking place? You present him a series of verbal, particular type of presentations, and then see what is the type of electrophysiological changes that occur. And you would be surprised to see that person may never say, yes, I did this, I did, he will even say, I never went there, I never did this, whatnot. But he doesn't have to say anything. He has to only just sit and hear. And you find the whole EEG changing so much. And this information is useful for us so that we pass on this particular information to the investigating people. It is for them to sit and then further interview him and then get the answer properly. Because we don't say from the EEG itself that he had done this. No, that is not right. That's what we all felt, that is not the right way to do it. But we know that there is some tremendous remembrance taking place. What he is remembering must be related to this only. Otherwise, because you are presenting a particular type of information to him, and that is when he is remembering. And you are also, when you present certain other types of information which are not related to, there is no such activation taking place. No activation taking place. It is not looking for a P300 activity or anything. And here you have to do the analysis in a very extensive, very complex manner. It's not because the whole experiment will go on for hours together, and then the whole analysis has to be automatically done, and the system will sit and print out the reports also. So you don't do anything except making the initial, the proofs that you have to present. You don't have to interview him at all. Afterwards you can sit and talk to him. That's a different thing. But then you are not doing for the sake of trying to make him admit something and so that information can be given. No. Whatever we get it, we hand over to the investigating people, and they do further investigation and then see that, yes, he was there, he was doing this. They get the necessary evidence to solve the case. That's the way we were working on EEG. But then that's what took me to a totally different area, a different field. I am now in the midst of a tremendous, I would say, situation wherein I would say that I've been getting letters after letters from USA and UK asking for specific articles. And now already 2 articles have been published this month, and the third one, the same thing, another journal is going to publish it. This is about social conditioning. It's about why do people become violent, or what is the neural violence, neural violence, it has been called. How does neural violence take place in a person? Because we hear very very often that how Hindus were tormented, other castes were tormented in America, in England, and all these places. Very common thing. And there are certain caste people coming and killing others. And this type of violence is increasing in other parts of country, world also. Everywhere it is increasing. And because of that, there is a tremendous interest that something has to be done about it. Why people are behaving in this manner? That's when he went back to the 60s, 90s, 70s, and we all found again that it was said that brain, actually, the frontal cortex can behave like a hijacking system which can be hijacked and it will not work. The person, when there is a stimulus, it goes to the hippocampus, it goes to the hypothalamus, and from there it doesn't go to the frontal cortex. There is no frontal activation. The person straight away reacts to whether at the hippocampal level or at the thalamic level. And that is when this type of neural hijacking taking place. Today, this neural hijacking is a very important terminology that is being used in this particular area, in all the countries. Very important area. Why neural hijacking place? Why their frontal lobes do not try to control them. But that is when they found that there are people, this frontal lobe control can come in a person. Probably for small thing activations, you do get proper training and then you do it. But then there are certain types of activities in life for which that frontal control has to come. That doesn't come in the childhood itself. Because unless this control develops in the early childhood, when the person grows big, he is not going to use the frontal lobe. He cannot use it. Or if he has to use it, he has to be again socially conditioned all over again. This is what we came to call it social conditioning. What is social conditioning? This is where a person before, because I will show you some of those pictures here, any stimulus that is going will go straight to the thalamus and then hippocampus, everything that area will have. From that area has to send the signals to the frontal lobes. And if it doesn't send to frontal lobe, because it has not been trained to send it to frontal lobe, that training doesn't come automatically. That has to be trained, the person must be trained, so that the thalamus or hypothalamic area will send the impulses to the frontal lobe, and frontal lobe can take a decision and say that this is what you should do, not this. Otherwise, the hypothalamus or hippocampus will act and the person become violent, straight away violent. There are many studies, I will show you that studies which show that violence is an easy playground for these particular subcortical areas. And this is what you find even in animals. Animals and all that, you go and do something to them, something which they don't like, immediately they try to attack you back. That's safeguard itself. There is nothing like doing something to you so that your condition will improve. No. Even a dog or a cat or any other animal cannot do it. But this change has to occur in human beings, because only human beings have that type of a frontal activation and frontal regulation possible. They don't have that type of frontal regulation. They don't have anything to achieve in life or great things to do, anything. There's nothing like that. May I have it? Yeah, I can change it with this, isn't it? Green, eh? Yeah. 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 Understanding the human mind has been the most complex and difficult process, needing in-depth investigations, though we know that the human mind refers to process of perception, thinking, encoding, imagining, feeling, emoting. These are the important aspects of the mind. We know that. This is what we call mind, and the mind has been carried out by the brain. Now, the mind is formed from the awareness of the encoded information of sensory and motor processes engaged by the brain and body parts and emotional experience generated that way. These are the things that work. Now, creation of the mind, how the mind is created. The process of recognition of sensory motor inputs, encoding, remembering the inputs and activities already identified and emotional responses evoked within, and attending to the above processes constitute the mind. It's a very complex thing, right? Created by the brain. Mind has been a creation of the brain, right? Now, sensory motor activities are planned and generated. This awareness and associated emotional effects are encoded and stored within the brain. Now, when you look at the brain, well, you find that these are the various functions that we have been generally speaking about. And you'll find that when it comes to the frontal lobe, you have planning, attention, movement, and then the whole vision is behind, hearing is there, and memory processing, emotional aspects are there. These are the areas which are related to, controlling these functions. Now, every child struggles to identify and differentiate all sensory inputs and responses by understanding relationships in the universe, using thinking and establishing emotional responses. Every child tries to understand. The physical world one processes and relates is cognitively and emotionally represented by each person. Section of human beings living in different sections of the earth have developed beliefs in different types of spiritual powers. That's a reality. It's not one God we have, we are different gods in different areas. For different people, there are different gods. They are the ones looking after them. That's what they think. Now, when it comes to consciousness, we have already discussed that. Let me not go into details in that in a bigger manner. Sections of human beings living in different sections of the earth have developed belief in different spiritual powers, as I already told you. Now, scientifically proven results and effects could be physically and functionally verified, and permissible changes could be made. If the effects accepted in such beliefs do not have scientific support, then they may still be accepted by individuals as their imaginary or spiritual intentions. People generally give a greater right for any spiritual intention they think that is bigger than anything else, science. Now, sensory signals from the sensory organs are first received in the thalamus of the brain. Yes, that's a very important starting point for us here. Signals from the thalamus go directly to the amygdala, or emotional irrational brain, while other parts are sent to the neocortex or the thinking rational brain. Now this other part should go to the neocortex. If it doesn't go, because that training hasn't taken place in a child, growing child, that's the child who is going to act violently everywhere. And there are many, many people, they may have a lot of religious, likings and all those things may be there, but when it comes to making such decisions, which is good for other people also, which will protect other people also, if those decisions are not made, well, their frontal lobe does not get those challenges at all, and frontal lobe doesn't get into activation. Today it's a reality. In fact, I should show you even the letters written by press people. Even they have started understanding this. Why doesn't people use their frontal lobe? Why? How come the activation stops only with the amygdala or thalamic level? Why doesn't it go beyond frontal lobe? Why the training is not given to them? That training has to come. That is where definitely things like meditation, etc., could be very useful for themselves. But when it comes to living for other people also, looking after other people, that something more than that is needed. Today we call it social conditioning. That is, as a child grows, the child is given training in that manner so that he will go out and try to help other people and develop that capability to think and decide. It may be only, for a week or a month in a year, all children will be sent to some place wherein they go and do some work for other people and try to help them out. But then what we are trying to achieve is activation of the prefrontal area, especially frontal lobe. Otherwise, frontal lobe development doesn't come the way it should come only through school training in the class itself. Learning arithmetics and mathematics, the science alone doesn't help them. Now, of course, I'm sure that you all know this emotional controlling system. You have the thalamus and you have the things around hypothalamus, you have the amygdala, hippocampus, and from here the activation has to go to, from amygdala it has to go to first perceived stimulus. If the record of experience in the hippocampus tells amygdala that it is a fight or free situation, then the amygdala triggers the hypothalamic pituitary adrenal HP axis and hijacks and overtakes rational brain functions. That's what happens. If that doesn't take place, that type of activity will not happen in the individual. Because child hasn't had any experience, that has not been trained, that conditioning hasn't taken place. Now, the interesting thing is that it was first found some time back, long back in the 1996. It was Daniel Goldman who called it working with emotional intelligence, amygdala hijacking. Then afterwards, Lee Dox wrote 3 important articles. Even we keep on repeating those articles and whatever he said even today, because he is the first person who spoke about this. Emotional networks and motor control, a fearful view, neural hijacking. He is the one who used the word neural hijacking, whereas Goldman used amygdala hijacking. And they became, for several years, almost about next 10-15 years, people were interested but not taking that much of interest. But today it's not so. Today there is a tremendous interest in this. They are going back to this now. They think that there is a need to prevent the neural hijacking taking place in human beings. That is why people keep on killing and hurting each other, one another, everywhere. Because their frontal lobes do not have that training. Now, look at this. I'm sure that you all know this picture. Amygdala is such a small area right below, but then this area gets a stimulus, it will activate the motor cortex straight away, instead of sending it to the frontal lobe, and frontal lobe taking a decision. Amygdala will send a decision and activate the motor cortex, and the person acts. And that's how violent acts come out. 5 moments. Okay, right. Okay. Activation of the amygdala happens when a potential threat is detected. Now, this is what I told you about social conditioning. Social conditioning of children is needed for the functional development of frontal cortical areas, which alone could inhibit or alter the presence of motor responses or behavior. The interesting thing is that, as for me is concerned, that I sent a very lengthy paper, almost 30 pages, 1600 words, something, 16,000 words. I thought they will ask me for money. Went to stay USA. I sent it to EC Neurology because I had published earlier articles in EC Neurology. They straight away published the article. It has already come. And now they have published, and then I felt that such a lengthy article, who will sit and read such a lengthy article? We should have written a slightly smaller article so that people can read. Then I talked to some other publishers. They said, send us an article. I sent another one, even that is published now. A smaller one, 8 pages. But then it tells you about, but the first one tells you in much greater detail. So this has become, now the third one is coming soon. There is one more journal saying that they would also like to publish the same article because it's so important. It is necessary for telling people should know, and something at the social level should occur for the purpose of regulating or training the brain of children, growing children. Otherwise, everywhere we have this situation of people killing each other. You go to here Pakistan, you go to any of the surrounding areas, how many people are getting killed? Even in India it's happening. Same thing is happening in the Middle Eastern countries. So tremendous amount of people. It is happening now in the US also. And now we have found that the reason for that is this. It is important that they do meditation, etc. It would give lot of peace of mind to the individual. But then it doesn't train the brain for getting into the right type of actions, taking responses. It is needed, it has to be taken up in a different manner. Probably this is where even neurophysiology department should take up this an important area and collaborate with some certain other type of people, maybe social psychologists or any of those people or clinical psychologists, and see that that type of training takes place as the child grows. We have to develop that now. This is not the specific problem for India. It's a problem for the world today. That there is a need to develop this particular speciality in a different manner. We can wait for spiritual development, etc., for a little more, but then this is a lot more important than that. Yeah, I think I would stop it at this place. There is a lot more to talk, but then naturally, yes. We're told that that time is over.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
You talked about neural hijacking, neural basis of criminality, and the significance of frontal lobe, God's greatest gift to us, the frontal lobe, I feel, and creation of the mind, emotional, irrational brain versus thinking, rational brain. Also, the concept of amygdala hijacking, apart from neural hijacking,
Yeah, right.
and social conditioning. I always admire scientists like you who work on the complexities of the brain. See, for me, I worked on brain in terms of neurons, glia, neurotrophic factors, ion channels, inflammatory molecules. So I think that was much easier. That's much easier. And less load on frontal lobe, I feel so, and I will admit it. So once again, thank you so much for making the complexity of the brain
Yeah.
and explain it in simple terms.
It
Thank
has
you so